Aquava, welcome, welcome, welcome. Welcome to another episode of Health Watch Thursdays, where we talk about everything health, holistic, and what is good for you. Today's dialogue is hosted by New Earth Health Foods here in Aburi, Ghana. And my name is ZAIRE. I'm going to be your conversation for today. We're going to talk about menopause and that's, it being the sacred threshold, the herbal holistic support that's needed to help transition through those particular times and phases in life. Again, my name is ZAIRE. I am a doctor of natural medicine. I'm a clinical herbalist. I'm a midwife. I am the owner of Mystic Mama Herbal, as well as the author of Herbal Harmony, Root and Recalibrate, and author of Recipe and Ritual. So let's talk about it. I know, I don't look it, but I promise you, I'm in perimenopause, okay? There is a list of 55 menopause symptoms that I have listed. For those who know the symptoms, how many can you name? How many of those affect you? I may look young, but guess what? Out of this list of 55, I have 27. I have 27 of these symptoms, and they affect me morning, noon, and night, various times of the day, various reasons and causes. I want you to know that this is a normal part of our evolution. It is okay. However, it doesn't mean you have to go kicking and screaming into the night through this, because there is stuff out there that can help you lessen the effects and make the transition a much more enjoyable space and place. Okay? So let's talk about it next. What exactly is menopause? So menopause is the natural and biological process of where a woman is no longer fertile. Period. That's it. Okay? Now, from a medical perspective, that means that this young lady has gone an entire calendar year, which is 12 months, without having a menstrual cycle. I want to emphasize something. This is not a disease, okay? You are not going to get out of it. It's going to happen, okay? It's simply just your body transitioning from one stage of life to the next. Just like you were an adolescent, you became a teenager, you became a young adult, and now you are going into this stage of life. It is totally normal, okay? Next. So let's talk about these stages. So the first one is perimenopause. Now, the crazy part about perimenopause is that it starts a lot earlier than what a lot of people think, okay? So this is when the hormones start fluctuating, and some women tend to experience irregular cycles, maybe some mood swings, and honestly, it could happen as early as the 30s. Like, a woman could start having these symptoms in her mid 30s, maybe even early 30s, kind of just depending on how, what her lifestyle is and what her genetic composition is. A good way to know is look at the women in your family. If you have any women in your family who are of age, the very first question you want to ask them is, did they go through perimenopause or menopause because of surgery, or if they went naturally? You want to have the conversation with the ones who went naturally and ask them around what age they were. Were they in their 40s? Were they in their 50s? Were they in their 60s? Because you're not too young to have any of this start, okay? Now, one of the first clues that is happening is the fluctuation in the menses, okay? You may have had and before I'm sorry, let me break down what a menses is. So a menses is the actual blood letdown, okay? A menstrual cycle is the length of time from the first day of a menses to the first day of the next menses. That is your menstrual cycle, those days in between, okay? So a menstrual cycle can last anywhere from 21 to 40 days, depending on what's going on with that particular person. The gold standard or the ideal menstrual cycle is anywhere from 28 to 30 days. So back to what I was saying about the fluctuations. What happens is during perimenopause, and like I said, it can, kind of sneak up on you in your mid-30s. Your entire 20s, maybe even early 30s, you may have had a menstrual cycle that was legitimately on schedule. You could, set your clock to it. Every 28 days, every 29 days, bam, she was here with all her beauty, right? And then something happens, you turn 35, you finish grad school or just whatever, something happens, and now your menstrual cycle is 27 days, 25 days, 21 days, 17 days. It could be all kinds of things, okay? That is one of the earliest symptoms of perimenopause, okay? Another one is the waking up in the middle of the night, that 3 to 4 a.m. wake ups. Like, you could be 100% exhausted, you're laying down, you're asleep, and then your eyes just open at 3. At 3 o'clock in the morning, for no reason, and you can't get back to sleep, okay? That's actually a symptom of perimenopause, and we're going to talk about why that actually happens in just a minute. Another one is is the mood swings, all right? The reason why we have all these different symptoms, no matter what, is because of our hormones, okay? When it comes to that 3 o'clock in the morning wake up that we were just talking about, progesterone, it's one of the hormones that our body produces that drops. And when it drops, we have cortisol that spikes. Cortisol is a hormone that our body produces naturally that causes us to wake up. So when you wake up at 3 o'clock in the morning, just randomly out of nowhere, it's because there is a progesterone drop and a cortisol spike, and now you're awake, okay? There are things that we can do to help calm that down a little bit, but just so you know, that's what's actually happening, okay? Now, when this also happens because of that 3, 4 o'clock in the morning and not being able to go back to sleep, that actually can cause anxiety to happen, right? And the anxiety is because you haven't gotten sleep, because you're just up. And a lot of times nowadays when we wake up, we start going on the social media scroll. We got to check in on TikTok and Facebook and, all the things. So now we have that blue light right in front of our face, messing with our eyes, messing with the different enzymes and hormones and neurotransmitters that our brain puts out to help maintain homeostasis. And that actually is a trigger for anxiety to become to become more constant, okay? Now, the other part that happens is because we're up and we're going through all the things, now we have brain fog. Brain fog is that it's like you can't get a real good sense of where you're going or a sense of where you are, right? You may have been real sharp, real quick with answers last week, but today it's just like, I just can't get it. It's like you're in a fog the entire time. Another change that happens, we start having breast tenderness. A lot of times back in your 20s and teens, you may have had the breast tenderness when your menses came on, but this is breast tenderness that doesn't go away. It's always, always there. The actual menses themselves can become really, really heavy, what we call flooding. You could also have a lot of clots. So now we have wound congestion, okay? Another one is that now we've become sensitive to alcohol and caffeine. Coffee, drinking a glass of wine or having a cup of coffee or that latte or that espresso, you know, whatever, that can actually quicken the perimenopausal symptoms that we are experiencing. Okay, your hair, the hairline starts creeping back. Hair starts thinning out. Again, part of the hormones and the changes that are going through because we are not producing we don't even have the eggs left to help our body function the way it used to, like in our 20s and in our teens. Okay, there is also a thing called vaginal dryness, where the womb space, it feels dry, and you may have to, you know, do a little extra work to get it moist, or maybe you have to add a lubricant when you're being intimate. All of these things are normal, and it is something to think about when they start hitting you earlier than what the societal norm of 50 and over is. Okay, next. So that was perimenopause. Okay, now actual menopause is the shortest time throughout this whole production, because it's only 12 months. It's only 12 calendar days, right? And so what's happening at this time is that there's only about 1,000 eggs left. 1,000 eggs are left by this point in time, and those eggs are no longer responding to the signals that are being put out by the hypothalamus, and ovulation begins to stop. Okay, so like when you're in perimenopause, going into menopause, your menstrual cycle starts to get really, really long. You know, that's when you start going into like the 30, 40, 50 days. And then maybe you may have like 2 real quick back to back. And then it's long, you know, a longer one again. Totally normal. Okay. But that's one of the keys that you're getting into actual menopause. And then once it actually stops, 12 calendar months without a menses, you have officially entered into menopause. Okay. This is also a time when ovulation stops. That's why you don't have the period, or the menses rather, for that entire 12 months. Okay. Now, what's funny is that there is this thing called menopausal rage. Okay. This is so back in like the 18th century, 17th century, they used to deem women going through this phase crazy, right? Because they were just angry all the time, irritable, nothing made us happy. It's not so much that it's a rage as it is that up until this point, we have focused so much on being there for everybody else, being a wife, being a mother, being a sister, being a good friend, being a good employee, things of that nature. And by the time menopause, even perimenopause comes around, we start to do a lot of self-reflecting and realize that we have not done our own self-care. We have prioritized the entire world above ourselves. So when it comes time for this, when it comes through this phase, we take a step back and it's like, hey, no, I'm going to put me first. I'm going to work on me. And we hold boundaries a lot tighter during this phase. And not only do we hold those boundaries a lot tighter, but we get really, really annoyed when there's a pushback against those boundaries. Okay, so that's what it actually is. It's not that, you know, we wake up in the morning and just choose violence. That's not what happens. We just don't want to deal with the extra drama. That's all it is. Okay. Next. So let's talk real quick about postmenopause. So perimenopause, we still have a menses for the most part, monthly. You know, we got some things going on, some changes, whatnot. And then we have actual menopause, where we don't have an actual bleed for a whole year. Now we have officially entered into postmenopause. And what people don't tell you is that postmenopause can last anywhere from 30 to 40 years. I'm gonna say that again. Postmenopause can last anywhere from 30 to 40 years. So please hear what I'm telling you. And all my men out there, all my fathers, my granddads, my uncles, I want y'all to understand what I'm saying. Women are in a hormonal flux anywhere from the time they are 30 years old all the way to when they are 70 years old. So give grace. That's all I'm asking. Just give grace, okay? Post-menopause, like I said, is that point after that 12 years and the menses is not coming back, okay? And what people are reporting is that once they get to that post-menopausal stage, that's when a lot of the symptoms that they were going through, like the hot flashes and the insomnia, all of that starts to kind of quiet down a little bit. Now, what does increase is our risk for heart disease, okay? Our risk for developing stage 2 diabetes type 2, and osteoporosis. Osteoporosis is the thinning of the bones, and that's actually a hormonal reality, okay? Now, what's happening during the body at this time is that the ovaries, which is where, when we were in our reproductive years, that is where we were getting a lot of our hormones from, whether it be estrogen, progesterone, testosterone, whatever it was, they were coming from the ovaries. Now they're coming from the adrenal glands, okay? And anybody who knows anything about the body knows that our adrenal glands are responsible for our sympathetic, our fight or flight, or our parasympathetic, rest and digest. Okay, so now we have the adrenal glands working extra time to help balance everything and balance us out. Okay, now with that being said, remember I was talking about the cortisol spikes and whatnot, right? So because of this and the adrenal glands working as hard as they're working, now this is where a lot of women start to find they got a little bit more to hang on to, if you know what I mean. You know, got a little bit more hips, got a little bit more tummy, got a little bit more arms, things of that nature. Now we're developing adipose tissue, okay? The fat, okay? And that happens because there is estrogen, become estrogen dominant at this point. And estrogen helps with regulate the balance between bone breakdown as well as bone rebuilding. The only problem is because we are dominant in it, it actually causes the reverse to happen. So while it's working on one side, but once we become dominant, that's when you may have never had fibroids before, but now all of a sudden you have fibroids, because fibroids is a pathology in the womb that is estrogen dominant, okay? One of the other things that happen is that the bone loses density over time because we don't have, our body's not producing vitamin D the way it used to. We're not taking in mineral-rich foods like we used to, okay? And like I was saying, we have more risk of developing heart disease at this point, again, because of the hormones that are transitioning in and out. It's not that we're not producing hormones. That's not what's happened. We're just not producing a lot of them, okay? We become very inflamed because of the adipose tissue, all right? And because of that extra fat, because of that inflammation, now we have cholesterol issues, triglyceride issues, things of that nature. So hopefully you can kind of see how it kind of menopause, okay? And that can happen because a person may have had to have had their ovaries taken out, or maybe they had cancer and had to go chemo, radiation, or there's other, like certain medications that will trigger the body to start those processes, those transitions, okay? When menopause occurs this way, the symptoms are a lot more sudden and they are a lot harder, right? They come on full force very quickly, and it takes a very long time for those to regulate out. And people who go into this particular transition of life because it was medically induced, they need, in my work, I've seen that they respond better to some of the hormone replacement therapies that are out there to help, okay? Now, move on, next slide. So here's a fun fact, right? The egg supply of a woman's life. So you understand like why and how and all the things, right? So when a when a female is born, right around, not even before she was born, when she's about 4 months gestation, all the eggs she will ever have in life develop, okay? So by the time she is born, we carry approximately 2 million eggs. Now, of course, you know, you can vacillate, you know, some are a little bit less, some a little bit more, but primarily on average, we're looking at 2 million eggs in the womb space per female, okay? By the time puberty hits, puberty is technically anywhere from like 11 to 13. At this point, we only have 300,000 to 400,000 eggs. That's a huge drop. We came into this world with 2 million, and by the time we're 12 or 13, we only have about 400,000 eggs, okay? Then as we go further into it, by the time we're into our early 30s, we have about 100,000 eggs left. Once we get into our 40s, we're looking at maybe 10,000 eggs. And it technically goes down more and more after that. So again, by the time menopause hits, there's literally less than 1,000 eggs. So that's why sometimes if you know anybody who's going through like IVF or IUI, this is what they're talking about, is actually the amount of eggs. And then it's the quality of eggs that are left, okay? That's also when the changes with the estrogen and progesterone start, okay? Those hormonal shifts, and we're gonna get into that right now. Next. All right, let's talk about these hormones, okay? So estrogen, we all know about estrogen. We talk about it all the time. That's what makes us ladies, right? Estrogen does a lot more than just regulate the menstrual cycle, okay? So understand that there are a couple of different forms of estrogen. So the first one is estradiol, which is, when you see it on your labs, it's gonna say E2, and that is the actual most powerful form of estrogen, and it's the one that is most dominant during our reproductive years, okay? The ovaries produce it, and it helps to regulate the menstrual cycle. It helps with brain function, bone health, as well as our reproductive responsibilities, I guess. The second type is estrone, which is E1, and that is the one that becomes dominant after menopause, okay? It's a weaker version of estradiol, and it's produced in the fat gland, fat tissue, or adipose tissue, as well as in the adrenal glands. It doesn't come from the ovaries. And then we have estriol, which is E3, and this is the one that's primarily abundant during pregnancy and pregnancy only. And once the placenta is delivered, that's what drops, okay? So after menopause, the body does not completely stop making estrogen, it just changes the form the form in which it's produced, okay? We have, again, brain, bone, cardiac, skin, reproductive tissue, and during perimenopause, the estrogen levels don't simply decline straight away. It's like a little stair step. They fluctuate. So maybe 1 month they're a little higher, then the next month they drop really low, then they come back up. It's literally a yo-yo thing that happens, okay? And then eventually it settles out. Okay, the decline in estrogen is what triggers the hot flashes, the vaginal dryness, as well as the bone density changes. The next hormone is progesterone, okay? This is also called the calming hormone, okay? It's a supporter of the neurotransmitter GABA, which helps to relax the brain and helps us go to sleep. Progesterone is produced after ovulation, so when ovulation becomes irregular during perimenopause, that's when progesterone tends to drop, okay? And that's when we start seeing sleep disturbances, anxiety, irritability, short menstrual cycles, like 25 days and shorter, okay? So remember those symptoms we were talking about in perimenopause? Yeah, progesterone, okay? And then we have testosterone. Believe it or not, women make testosterone. Now, we don't need as much as our male counterparts. our male principles. We don't need as much as they do, but we still actually need some, okay? And testosterone is directly responsible for our libido, our energy levels, just getting up and moving throughout the day, as well as muscle mass, okay? So when testosterone starts to drop, one of the biggest complaints is that the libido is gone, right? They don't want to have sex. There's no desire to have sex. And then if they do, they got to do a whole lot of work to be able to get ready for sex, because now they have vaginal dryness as well, okay? So that's testosterone. Another hormone is FSH, which is your follicle stimulating hormone. It's produced by the brain, and it acts as a signal to tell the ovaries to produce estrogen and release mature eggs or mature follicles, okay? The ovaries at this time or during these times become less responsive, and the brain tries to compensate by releasing more FSH, okay? And when that happens, that's again when we have more of these fluctuations and the ovaries are not responding, and we go back to having the weird symptoms during our menses, as well as the anxiety, sleep disturbances, body aches and pains, itchy skin, all that kind of stuff, okay? Next slide. All right, so let's talk about these hot flashes, okay? That's the one thing everybody knows about this transition is these hot flashes, okay? The hot flashes begin in the brain, in the hypothalamus, okay? The hypothalamus is the part of the brain that actually regulates the body. It's the body's thermostat, so to speak, okay? And estrogen is what stabilizes the system, okay? So when estrogen begins to fluctuate during perimenopause, and then when when menopause actually hits, the hypothalamus becomes more sensitive, okay? And it actually starts to pick up on the smaller temperature changes and works to help the body remain in homeostasis. And because of that, it drops cooling mechanisms into the body, and it's the amount of cooling mechanisms to the amount of estrogen that causes the flare, that causes the hot flash to arise, okay? Because that cooling mechanism, that heating mechanism will dilate the blood vessels, and the body's trying to cool it down. So you have all these open blood vessels, then all this cold air coming into your blood vessels, and now we're sweating. And the sweats can happen at any time. It can happen at night while you're sleeping. It could happen in the daytime. It can happen while you're walking down the street. It can happen at any time, okay? And hot flashes usually last anywhere from 5 to 30 seconds. To date, the longest hot flash I had lasted about 2 minutes, okay? So yeah, it can be all over the place, right? Stress, believe it or not, is a huge trigger for a for a hot flash, right? The reason being, again, stress, fight or flight, sympathetic, adrenals, cortisol. Yeah, so stress, whether it is the stress because your job is getting on your nerves, or you just won $1 million. The body doesn't know the difference between good and bad stress. It just knows stress, okay? And like I talked about before, caffeine and alcohol, that stimulates the nervous system, so it dilates the blood vessels. And again, the blood vessels are open, but we have all these hormones, fluctuating. So the hypothalamus, is going to dump the cooling in there, and now we have another hot flash, okay? Spicy foods, all my people who love pepe, yeah, you're causing your hot flashes, okay? Poor sleep and fatigue, right? If your partner or your mate, they snore at night and you can't get to sleep because they're snoring, now you can't sleep. That's a disturbed sleep. You can't get comfortable because you're having night sweats. You can't get comfortable because your body hurts. All of these things are part of the reason why we have hot flashes. Oh, and don't get me started about the environmental. Let me tell y'all. So I'm here in Ghana, right? You have not lived until you have had a hot flash in the middle of Ghana heat. Right now, we are in Hataman. So the temperatures can get anywhere from the upper 80s to mid 90s in the middle of the day. Easy. There is nothing better than having a whole full-blown hot flash in the middle of this heat. It is so disrespectful, y'all. Let's continue on. Next. All right. So we talked about kind of like how they have, like not how they, but what, where they come from. So let's talk about the neurochemicals, or the three neurochemical cells that are produced because this happened. All right. So they are called the kindi. Okay. And they trigger a specific group of neurons in the brain that trigger the hot flashes to happen. Okay. So this is the dilated blood vessels, this is the sweating, this is the brain's cooling response. It is these particular enzymes that cause it. It is the kisspeptin, the neurokin, and the dynorphin. Okay? All of these things have been studied, and new research has come out saying that if they actually target those specific enzymes, they actually can help control the flashpoint, the hot flashes. Okay. Next. Oops. Sorry, y'all. There we go. So let's talk about estrogen in the brain again. I know I keep hounding y'all about this estrogen, but I'm telling y'all it's a real thing, right? One of the most interesting discoveries within the last years is that it's not just happen, like, I told you that the estrogen is produced in the ovaries, right? What happens is that the brain is also being hit by the lack, or the fluctuations rather, in estrogen. Okay. We're talking about our serotonins, our dopamine. So we're looking at mood swings, our ability to focus, the brain fog, all the things that I was talking about earlier. Okay. And having to deal with this kind of fluctuation every day can work on the nervous system. And we're going to talk about that a little later too. However, specifically speaking about the brain, remember we have inflammation. Okay. We have the inflammation, we have the spike in the cortisols, we have the adrenals. All of this is going on every day. And literally, like what I tell my husband now is that I'm just trying to make it through the day, right? Just trying to make it through the day. Because as the brain is trying to, stabilize itself, okay, it has to manage the energy. And so we have spikes in our energy. We may have high energy at the, high energy at the beginning of the day, and just can be completely wiped out by 2 o'clock. Okay. Because we have a very short window of when we can be productive when we're going through these transitions. Okay. So next, we're going to talk about the skin. Okay. One of the other things that happens is that the estrogen, again, we're fluctuating back and forth. Okay. Estrogen actually helps with the production of collagen. And that is the enzyme that helps our skin be nice and tight and elastic, right? And it helps to retain moisture. All of this starts to go away. So this is why you see, little crow's feet here, little wrinkles here. The skin may become thinner. It may be drier. Okay. Again, the wrinkles. And research has shown that women will lose up to 30% of the collagen within the first 5 years of this entire transition. Okay. And this is why, like, if you actually look at the people who go get mommy makeovers, right? There's a lot of women going to get, stuff put back up, stuff tightened. This is the reason. And this is also part of the reason why a lot of your skincare ads are pretty much focused in a target audience of anywhere from 40 to 60 years old. Okay. So that's estrogen. let's go a quick little deep dive into progesterone real quick, okay? So again, like I talked about, it's called the calming hormone because it's a neurotransmitter that supports the GABA, which helps the brain to relax. Progesterone is produced during or after ovulation, and once ovulation becomes irregular, the amount of progesterone changes and then eventually stops altogether. And this is the sleep disturbances, anxiety, irritability, and short cycles that we've been talking about. Okay. Now let's talk about what happens to the nervous system during this time next. So we talked about the ovaries, we talked about the brain. Now the neurotransmitters that affect the nervous system are shifting, right? So we're talking about dopamine, which helps with motivation, focus, and attention, testosterone. We're talking about the GABA to help promote sleep. We're talking about the anxiety that flares up. Again, the brain fog, all of this stuff is literally, you could literally say it's like puberty in reverse. Okay. Literally, okay? Because the brain is sending out signals to the ovaries to do their job, but the ovaries are like, no, we're done. We're good. Shoot that information to the adrenals, okay? Yeah, okay. Next. Now let's talk about a couple of the treatments for this beautiful transition, okay? So we are looking at something called hormone replacement therapy, or HRT. And what it does, it pretty much all the medications out there, they are to help with the replacement of estrogen and progesterone. And what's really upsetting is that I think, if I remember correct, I think it was up until this year, 2026, that testosterone was not allowed to be prescribed for women. Only men could get it. There's a bunch of doctors doing some creative prescribing in order to get women to get testosterone, because that's what actually is needed to help balance out the decline with the progesterone and the estrogen. Okay, so the estrogen therapy that they have out on the market now, it helps with the hot flashes and night sweats and vaginal dryness. It can be given in the form of a pill, patch, cream, gels, vaginal preparations, you know, all kinds of things. They also have some of the meds that are used are certain SSRIs or antidepressants. There's clonidine, there's gabapentin, and then some of the newer stuff is the neurokin receptor medications. Okay, but fun fact though, the earliest medications, and some of my elder sisters out there, my queen mothers, can tell you about a beautiful drug called Premarin. It was made from the urine of a pregnant horse. That's what we had to help balance out. And the issue with synthetic, we're not even talking about, you know, different special hormones, but just synthetics. Synthetic hormones do not have the ability to break down correctly in the body. So if there's any other challenges in the body, it becomes to build up into excess, right? Because the body can't process and excrete them the way it would with, say, a bioidentical hormone, okay? Bioidentical hormones are your plants, okay? It's your plant stuff. So we're talking about soy, we're talking about wild yam, we're talking about tofu. I kid you not, if you are going through this particular phase in your life, soy is your best friend, okay? Wild yam is your best friend, okay? Now, mind you, I'm not saying that those compounds will stop, okay? They're not gonna stop what you're going through. What they will do is help ease you through it, because there is a constituent in those plants called dioxin, excuse me. And it is that compound that helps ease the drop. So it's not just like, you know, you walking and then just fall off a cliff. It's more of a slant down. And your body is able to help regulate a little bit better, okay? Next. All right, let's talk real quick about, we're about to get to my favorite part, y'all, the plants, but real quick, let's talk about some lifestyle and complementary approaches that can help. Believe it or not, nutrition and exercise. One of the craziest things that happens is that as we get older, our taste buds start to change. So we want more sweet stuff. Okay, that's first. And not saying that you want sweet as in like cakes and cookies and things like that, but you want carbs, right? And carbs, we're talking about potatoes, rice, pastas, breads, stuff like that. Those things actually, in accumulation, and when you combine it with the fluctuation we have going on the fluctuation we have with our hormones, you actually, this is where that insulin resistance comes into play. And now you have made yourself susceptible to type 2 diabetes, okay? So being mindful of what you're eating, how you're eating, the time of day you're eating, all of that is a real thing, okay? The next thing is sleep support. You know, for a long time, I thought it was a bad thing or even like a disrespect to not sleep in the same room with my husband. Ask me if I care now. Nope. He's in his room, I'm in my room, and I try to get as best sleep as I can, right? Now, I will say the funniest thing about going through this particular stage with my husband is that he's a hot-natured person, so he's always liked the house to be cold, right? He's always the one that had the AC on the blast, had the ceiling fan on, and then had a side fan on him. He was always hot. I can tell y'all with 100% that right now he and I get along and we agree on what setting the AC should be on. Something to think about, okay? The next thing is acupuncture. Acupuncture is a traditional Chinese medicine modality that works on the meridian lines and helps releases maybe trapped energies or helps open up lymphatic pathways, things of that nature. That can help you. Yoni steaming. For those who know what yoni steaming is, or who don't know, excuse me, yoni steaming is where you have a blend of herbs. You make a hot tea out of it, and then you squat over it and allow that steam to come into your womb space. Because remember I talked about before, going through perimenopause and stuff, we got, you know, the funky menses. You know, we got clots, we have, you know, bloating, we have heavier, thicker menses, we have all the things. Clearing out the congestion in your womb helps your body process what is going through, and yoni steaming is one of the ways to help that, okay? Now, the one that we're going to talk about next is my absolute favorite, herbal medicine. Let's talk about these plants next. All right, many traditional cultures from all over the world use plants to help with all the transitions: birth, puberty, menopause, even transitioning to the ancestral realm, okay? The herbs work not because they're forcing hormones to change, but they're helping the body to adapt to the changes that are happening. Again, it's more of a slant and slide down versus a walk and then fall off a cliff. That's what we're working with. That's what we're helping, right? Some of the herbs that help the nervous system and give actual mineral balance and support, we're looking at herbs like red clover, black cohosh, sage, right? And I'm talking just your regular everyday garden variety sage. A cup of sage tea at night will actually help reduce the amount of hot flashes that you have at night, as well as you getting hot flashes at night, okay? Red clover contains many isoflavonoids, and it acts on the estrogen receptors in the body, okay? This helps ease the hot flashes and also the cardiovascular heat, okay? Black cohosh, even though it is a herb that is traditionally found in the North Americas, it helps work through the effects that happens on the nervous system and helps clear the serotonin pathways. so that they can work the way they're supposed to. And then, like I said, the sage can help with the nighttime sweats, okay? Now, when we're talking about the nervous system overall, we want to look at stuff like milky oats, lemon balm, passion flower. Passion flower is a phenomenal plant. And for anybody who is in a climate where they can grow passion flower, the leaves themselves is one of the best and fulfilling sedatives in the plant kingdom. Okay? Meaning, like, literally one leaf, okay, is all you need to get a good night's sleep. Okay. Lemon balm, it helps to calm and uplift, supports mood and digestion. Milky oats, it helps nourish the nervous system. Remember, we're talking about that mineral support. It helps with that. Okay. And then we actually have our mineral rich foods. We're talking about moringa, horsetail, nettle. Okay. Because our body is going through these fluctuations, our body is either not retaining the minerals or it's not absorbing enough minerals. So you want to have these kind of plants on deck, okay? And for my people in Ghana right now, we're talking about bitter leaf, hibiscus, moringa, best friends, okay? Another set of plants that I absolutely love, and anybody who has taken any of my herbal classes, they will tell you the herbal action called an adaptogen. An adaptogen, an adaptogen, an adaptogen. You cannot go wrong with your adaptogens, right? The reason being is that adaptogens help the body adapt to what it's supposed to do. It helps it do its job, okay? So we're talking about ashwagandha, shashandra, holy basil. Okay. Adaptogen herbs, they help the body regulate to stress and maintain its balance during these transitions. Ashwagandha helps with the adrenal glands. It helps with the sleep aspect. Shashandra helps with liver function as well as resilience to stress. And then your holy basil helps with the cortisol spikes and helps with the emotional balance. Okay. Again, plants do not replace hormones. It just helps the body to do its job better so that you can be easier and have an easier time. Okay. Next, we're going to talk about, So last we're going to talk about the lifestyle. Okay. Getting that adequate sleep and rest, I already told you. If you gotta get another room, get another room. If you gotta turn the AC on, the fan, have a bedside fan, and have an ice pack, do it. Balance out your nutrition. Regular physical activity. Even though, by the time we get to this point, we are tired, we have the fatigue, push through it. Go on that walk. If the market lady or the grocery store is literally a walk away, don't get in the car. Actually go walk, because that helps move. That helps move all the stagnation that can happen and does happen in the body, and it does help with your heart health. Okay, limiting alcohol, avoiding smoking, all of these things are ways to help reduce the effects of menopause. Now, I know I was talking about balanced nutrition, but I want to go a little bit deeper. Okay, because sometimes we are out here making ourselves worse, okay? A balanced diet, okay? It includes whole foods, healthy fats, fiber, protein, and mineral-rich foods. Now, on the screen right now, you have wache on the left-hand side, and you have light soup on the right-hand side. Which one do you think you want to have when you're having a hot flash? Just take a guess. You want the light soup, okay? It has protein from the fish. The broth is very hydrating. The vegetables have minerals, and it's usually a lot less inflammatory. Whereas you have wache on the left-hand side, and they usually have shito, which is a condiment here in Ghana. It's highly processed. Look at that. We have beans, we have rice, we have plantains, we have eggs, we have garlic. Like, everything is on this plate, all right? Because of all of that mix, because it's so heavy, because it's so hot, it will absolutely trigger your hot flashes, right? Absolutely trigger. And like I said, you do not want to have a hot flash out here in the middle of Ghana. It is not fun at all. Another supportive meal is egusi or ketumbre stew. It's another one because it's iron rich in the vitamins and minerals area. All those beautiful leafy greens from that ketumbre is great for your cardiovascular health, and it is extremely nutrient dense, right? Replacing the nutrients that our body, again, either has lost or is no longer absorbing, okay? And then sobolo, right? Here in Ghana, it's sobolo. In the Caribbean, it's called sorrel. It's hibiscus. It's a hibiscus drink, okay? Antioxidant rich, great for the heart, and extremely, extremely hydrating, okay? So in reality, pay attention to what you're eating, because what you're eating will actually cause more symptoms to arise, and you have other foods that will actually help support and calm down all the symptoms that arise, okay? All right, excuse me. So let's talk about what kind of support and where the support comes from. If you're having any symptoms, always discuss them with your healthcare provider. Don't let your healthcare provider tell you that, you don't know what you're feeling, okay? You have been with your body longer than everybody on this planet. So you know when things aren't feeling right. Advocate very strongly for yourself, okay? And you don't stop until someone actually listens to what you're saying, okay? There's also organizations out there who help support people through menopause, where you have like support groups and things of that nature as well. Now, talk openly with your friends and family. Let them know what you're going through, because you'd be surprised. Sometimes they don't even know how to talk about it, And you'll even have some people who will, show you a little grace and let you have the AC on, or let you sit in front of the AC at dinner, okay? Now, I want to be very clear next. There are certain situations where you absolutely have to see a medical provider. One of the ones is when you have very severe, persistent hot flashes, right? This is what a severe hot flash looks like. There is a video circulating around social media of a young lady who is, I think she's at a football game, and she's bald, right? The hot flash she's having is so severe that you could see the smoke coming off of her head. That's considered severe, okay? And the reason why you want to see your provider if something like that is happening is because now we're moving into a different type of metabolic process and state that could actually hurt you, really permanently hurt you, okay? If you have spontaneous bleeding out of nowhere, and I'm not talking about a couple of spotting or something like that, but an actual outpouring of menstrual blood, okay? That's a problem, because most likely it's not blood from your actual womb space. It's blood from a pathology that is in your womb space. So you definitely want to get those things evaluated. And then we have our sleep disruption. If it becomes to the point, right, where you are hallucinating or you're not able to function, like there is a condition called narcolepsy, where a person can just fall asleep at any given point in time, things of that nature. You really want to see your provider, because you may need a little bit more stronger support than somebody else. And then of course, if it's affecting your daily life, okay? Next. Now, how do we thrive through this lovely transition, okay? First, take a breath. Just breathe, right? You're not gonna get out of it. So once you get it through your mind space that this is something that is absolutely biological, it is a physiological process, you're not gonna get out of it, but it does not mean you have to go kicking and screaming. Okay? doesn't mean you have to go kicking and screaming. That's the first thing, okay? And then the second thing is supporting your body. Like, we just had a whole conversation about the hormones and why they act the way they do and what they look like and what's happening. You have now been told different techniques to help with that. So now you're responsible for that, okay? You don't have to go through this kicking and screaming. You can get your herbs, you know, your herbal teas. Dr. Sharita here over at New Earth has a whole bunch of them, right? You can call me. I can give you some yoni steam. I can get you some yoni steam herbs, or make you a custom tincture to help with the transition that you're going through, okay? We have, you know, medical care when you need it, having the open conversation with friends and family so that you can get through these times. This is how you thrive. This is how you thrive. Do not kick yourself because you're going through this. Embrace yourself, because you are evolving. You are stepping into the next level of your spiritual and energetic evolution, right? Enjoy it. This stage of life has historically been viewed in many cultures as the transition into wisdom, into leadership, and into deep self-understanding. This is the step into eldership. Embrace it, okay? Because it's not the end of vitality, it's just the beginning. And I thank you. Can I have